All right, Dennis. You talk a lot about the boys, referring to the big banks and funds that move the market. How can an individual trader like myself or somebody new recognize what the big money is doing, or is that something that I would find in your trading room? And if so, are there like tricks or like three insights that I could be looking for to see what these guys are doing?
Hmm, good question. First of all, let me say that I believe that the boys are not the institutions. They're not
Okay.
the banks. They're not the hedge funds. The boys are an invisible hand that moves the market. It guides the market in a direction that the powers to be, the Illuminati, wanted to go for whatever their reasons. So I believe that they guide the bigger institutions, and by creating gaps like they did today, they force traders to be conservative. So when you get a pullback today, you're saying, you know what, they're really going to try to trap us and squeeze us and make us go the other way, and good possibility this isn't going to work to go and close the gap today. And so I believe that we have to follow the footprint of the bigger institutions, which clearly I don't want to give away all our trade secrets, but
Sure.
every day we talk about what is the footprint of the institution. There's a minimum size move that an institution wants, and if you don't achieve that, a big boy is not in the trade.
Okay.
There is not a hedge fund. There is not somebody significant saying, okay, I'm taking a risk here. This is the right level. And so if you don't get that minimum point movement, then there's a likelihood that this is not the right level, and you need to take your stop out and say, okay, this is not the level they want to play. They're going to wait for another level before they jump in with both feet.
Okay.
So
Very
that's
good.
that's one of the keys that we look for. In terms of tricks, gaps, gaps in squeeze. I mean that's one of the worst when you get the half gap and all of a sudden it comes running right back at you. The trap door type play where the bigger traders will actually see you coming and you'll say, okay, let's buy this, and then they'll go right through it, and
Mm-hmm.
gun through it. The 1, 2, 3 higher highs, those are some of the worst. The undercut lows, where you'll take out a low and then all of a sudden come back up through the level. That type of trade gets a lot of traders, and it's probably the most powerful of all because that 1, 2, 3 lower, lower, higher, high, you can't tell until hindsight. You just have to be aware of the level that you came through, and then make sure you respect it and say, okay, like today, that yesterday's high never really got violated,
Mm-hmm.
So those are a few of the tricks that I see happen and recur often, and there are more of them, but those are probably a couple of the basics that we really focus on because they just happen so often. Probably the rabbit dog day is the worst, where they'll throw in a day that is non-rotational. That's the day that gets everybody. Instead of having a rotational day that will conform to 80% of the trades, it just keeps going. It doesn't rotate, it doesn't come back, and you get a 40-point day instead of if your average two range is 28 points or 25 points, all of a sudden it's 40 points. You said, oh my God, what happened here?
And you never
So
got a chance to get involved, or
yeah, you have to take stop outs in those days. The guys who are, see what it'll do, it will kill those traders who are undisciplined and who think that we must get rotation
mm-hmm.
because it happens at least 2 or 3 times a month. And that's one of the worst tricks. If I had to pick one, that's the worst because you just never know when that day is going to come.
Right.